Hey guys, Dabu7. Just wanted to share with you here some basic steps when it comes to survival. And I'm going to be talking about this a lot more here in the future because I feel it's important in these days and times to truly have a plan. I've said it a million times, but it's time to get proactive and to try to help others take the steps to get them ready. That way they're not caught slipping, so to speak, and not having the means, materials, or the know-how to survive in a crisis situation. And some of these things could be a lot easier than one would think. It just takes some planning, some training, some practice, and some know-how, and you can have key things in your arsenal that's going to help you whenever a disaster strikes. I mean, if everyone knew when the disaster was going to come, everything would be different, but that's never how it works. Most people get caught by surprise, and the whole goal here is to help eliminate a lot of the things that you would be trying to rush out and get in a crisis situation. Now, I don't want to make this extensive. I want to make this rather simple so people can have a starting ground, somewhere to start. And this is all about having a plan. I have had a lot of people here recently email me concerned. And, you know, there's always a level of concern out there that you see from people, but there's been, you know, an upswing in the amount of people that have been trying to reach out to me, trying to just get knowledge on what can they do to help get their family safe. So the first thing is making sure that you have an understanding of basic medical knowledge. You need to pack a first aid kit. You need to have the right stuff, sterile strips, and stuff to dress wounds. You need to become at least CPR certified or have somebody in your group that is, someone that can handle this. It's going to pay off to have those folks around. And this is why my number 7 here, this ties into many of the first 6, because it's all about the people. It's all about your numbers. It's not about running into the woods thinking you're going to survive by yourself. The strength is really going to be in your numbers, especially when other groups figure that out and try to come into your turf and they're desperate. If they outnumber you, you're outnumbered. If you have large numbers, you may win every time, and it may be the sole reason that you win every time is because of your numbers. You can fan out, cover more ground, and be able to take on those other pockets that come through. And it's not just people, it's animals. We'll talk about that here in another step. The next most important is obviously your food and your water gathering. You need to have a way to purify your water. You need to be able to identify edible and poisonous plants. You need to be able to hunt and fish efficiently. And Casey's got a new channel here that's focusing on just that out there, his fishing adventures. And it's something you want to get out there and do. So you know what it takes to have to catch that fish. You just don't want to assume that you know how to do it and get out there and then you're not catching any fish and you're wondering what's going wrong. You need to get out here and put yourself in that situation. You need to learn how to collect the fresh drinking water. And like I said, the moss grows on trees and rocks at certain times. You need to, and this ties into navigation. Number 3, you need to know where north is. You need to get your bearings on where you're at. The position of the stars, you know, the position of the sun, you know, that's the things you're going to have to rely on trying to get a beat on where you're at when your cell phone goes down. You know, building a fire is the next key one. This may be taken for granted by many people that have a lighter in their pocket and matches around, but in a disaster, this is what you need. You need like a good machete, a good flint striker, fire starter. They sell them out there for cheap, some that are even waterproof. Make sure you got one of those in your little bag, okay? Put one in each individual's bag because they're cheap. You can get them small, waterproof. They'll last for a long time, and there you go. There's your fire. Everyone's got one in their arsenal. If one goes out, you've got plenty more. Basic defense would be the next one. Basic defense, and this ties in to number 7, the big one that overlaps in many of these instances. you need strong numbers because your basic defense here is against wildlife and enemy intruders. You need to be able to, and this ties into the final one they have listed here, well, in number 6, is shelter building, where you need to be able to survive because people out here that can build a shelter are 10 times more likely to survive in a disaster situation than those who don't. It keeps you warm, protected, safe from the elements, other dangers. It keeps you away from the wilderness, and your chances of survival over a long period of time are a lot better if you know how to do this. And this is why it's essential to have a plan, to build your emergency preparedness kit, to brush up on all these basic skills in order to thrive in any disaster. Imagine Yellowstone erupted. Imagine New Madrid got hit with the earthquake. Imagine a tsunami hit the East Coast at some event, big earthquakes. There was a disaster where stuff started to happen. What if cyber attack hits the grid? They shut off electric. If you can plan for what I say is an EMP style collapse, if you can just in your mind plan for that coming on the heels of, say, a big earthquake, I think if you can plan for that and make it through that, practice, then anything smaller you're going to have better odds of surviving through. And keep in mind, a massive event like an eruption at Yellowstone or any other big volcano can drastically change not only life in the United States, but around the globe. Things will not go back to normal for decades in that instance. We should remember that. And after the initial fallout, you have to be out of the ash plume area. I don't care if you've got to pick up and pack your bags. You've got to drive all the way down toward New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, somewhere else to get out of the line of fire where this plume's going to be going. Because it's going to turn your lungs into concrete if you inhale it. You need to have the right respirators, not just any, but the right. They're classified for certain things out there if you look into them. So think about that. Have some of those on deck. And, when it comes to defense, we've talked about machetes, the different guns and weapons you can have out there, bows, spears. And that's, once again, something that I like with what Casey's doing here with his fishing channel, getting back out to the basics with food gathering. And for those that don't want to get out in the elements and maybe want to pick up bulk supplies of, whatever you want, whether it's wheat, rice, water, things of that nature. The one company that I've had some good trust with that have done me good and had some good products was Liberty Food. And, I'm going to stick with them because they haven't done me wrong. They've been solid. I like the fact that they have products out there that have no glyphosate in it, non-GMO, and everything else. So those are things to take into consideration when you're stocking up on what you may live on for years for survival. You don't want it to be laced with GMOs and things like that. All this tying in to one big thing, and that's to have a plan here. Basic medical knowledge being 1, food, water gathering, 2, 3 being navigation, 4, fire building, 5, basic defense, 6, shelter building, and 7 is basically a combination of all these, and it's in knowing that the strength is in your numbers and in a barter system. Be thinking about that. When the system goes down and the dollars are worth nothing and they won't even burn to keep you warm, and all the elite are running and they've got their precious metals and everything else, their offshore accounts, only thing you're going to have time to do is set up a system here that works in each neighborhood, in each city, and hopefully expand on that because it's going to take time. But they want chaos in these moments. You remember that. Don't feed into it. You're going to have people that lose it. Just have a plan. I hope this is a good starting ground for some of you that was asking. I'll leave links and information in the description box where you can find more. I'm going to continue to discuss the steps that we can take individually to keep our family safe. Listen, weather's getting warm. Get the boys and girls out at the range, drawing back on some bows, casting some poles, cleaning the 22s up, okay? It's in your hands. The future of this country is in your hands. And I'm telling you, disaster is looming in the offing. Whether it comes naturally or they're going to make it happen. It's going to happen. Something big somewhere, okay? In the United States, there hasn't been a massive earthquake, volcanic activity, anything massive, since 9/11 is as far as attacks go or anything like that. Something massive is in the offing. I can guarantee you that. Have a plan. This has been Dabu7. Much love, y'all.